Hello, I'm Brett Gilliland, host of the Circuit of Success podcast, and here's what's coming up on the show.
Well, I think there's a couple of ways we can go about this question. One of them, which is maybe not actually what you're asking, but I get asked a lot, which is kind of like how do you get into these communities? And how do you get these breaks, right? How are you advising for these giant companies? How are you getting these contracts with these massive athletes? So that's kind of like one. Which I'd be happy to answer. And then the other question is sort of just like, what did it take, in those first couple of years to get tenure, to get promoted?
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today I've got Andy Galpin with me. Andy, how you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I am doing great as well. You out in California today? What part of California are you at?
Yeah, I live in Southern California in Long Beach.
Long Beach, very nice. Well, thank you for being with us today. And as the intro says, obviously you've built an amazing career, and you are a world-leading expert, man. I feel very blessed to have you on the Circuit of Success, and so appreciate your time. But if you could, maybe just give us a little lay of the land, Andy, on what's made you the man you are today, and kind of help getting you to where you've gotten.
Yeah, sure. I guess you want a little bit of the background? Is that where you're going?
Yeah. I always say people don't just wake up and become a doctor, work with athletes, do all the things that you're doing, man. There's a backstory there, and it's my job to figure out that backstory.
You got it. So I was born in the Pacific Northwest, so in a pretty small community, farming and logging, things like that. So I played every sport growing up, and then of course, like everyone I grew up with, I did every other job you could possibly do. So working at grocery stores and pumping gas and haying in the summers and cleaning stalls and things like that. Right, that's just everyone I grew up with. That's just what you did. I was fortunate to I went and played college football. From there, I got a degree in exercise science and was able to take that, and I got a job down in Tempe, Arizona, at a place called Athletes Performance. This was 2004, 2005, something like that. And at the time, that facility had probably over 200 professional athletes, Hall of Famers, #1 draft picks, like very, very high level NFL and Major League Baseball guys. So I was there for about half a year, and I realized, like, for sure I didn't want to be a strength and conditioning coach. It was like my full-time job. And so I went then back to school and got my master's degree in human movement sciences. And obviously I wasn't competing in football anymore. But I then started competing in weightlifting, or Olympic weightlifting, as you may see it in the Olympics. Competing in combat sports and jiu-jitsu and MMA and things like that. Then went and got my PhD in what's called human bioenergetics. It's like a fancy way of saying muscle physiology and metabolism and things like that. Continue to work with athletes, continue to train and compete in the combat sports. And then 2011, I came out here to California, started my lab, which is called the Biochemistry and Molecular Exercise Physiology Lab, and then eventually took over the Center for Sport Performance out here. So since then, I'm in the last 11 years or so, I've been doing that, which is 3 really major components. So component 1 is I run that research center, and we will study anything and disseminate that information we think can enhance human performance. And this is anywhere from breathing techniques to what types of training are best, to taking muscle biopsies and looking at molecular and cellular and genetic components of muscle growth and development, whatever it needs to be. The other part is then I teach in the areas of sports nutrition at the graduate level, advanced muscle physiology and human performance and things like that. And then I have worked with professional athletes, for a long time now, and I've worked with Cy Young winners, MVPs, all pros, all stars, Hall of Famers, gold medalists in Olympics, silver medalists, world champion fighters in multiple major sports, etc. So probably, I don't even know how many at this point, but a lot of them, and including, currently the #1 player in the world in 4 major American sports. So that's the big picture, a little bit of where I was and what I do now.
That's awesome, man. Well, there's a lot there, right? Because you don't just become this person that's working with all the people you just mentioned. And so there's a lot there. So, if I were to follow you around the last 10 or 11 years, before we get into the exercise, fitness side of things and maybe the mindset, let's talk about what were those, what was Dr. Andy Galpin doing as that low. When were you when you started? How old were you when you started professionally working? Was that late 20s, early 30s?
It was finished my PhD at 27.
Okay,
So I was a
so if
professor at
I went
27.
back to your 27-year-old self, I mean, what am I seeing now to get you to the level? Because there's a lot of people that can go get their doctorate and do the things that you did at school. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are people that can do that. But not many of them have taken
Sure.
it to the level you've taken it to. So let's talk about that.
Well, I think there's a couple of ways we can go about this question. One of them, which is maybe not actually what you're asking, but I get asked a lot, which is kind of like how do you get into these communities, and
Yeah,
how do you get these breaks, right? How are you advising for these giant companies? How are you getting these contracts with these massive athletes? So that's kind of like one,
yeah,
which I'd be happy to answer. And then the other question is sort of just like, what was it? What did it take, in those first couple of years to get tenure, to get promoted, and to go forward? So is there either one of those two you'd
let's
prefer to
go with
start with?
number one first, and then we'll come back to number two. So basically, saying I like that. It's exactly what I was trying to ask. Those two questions.
Great. So the reason I actually started the conversation with where I come from is because I think it's important people understand that I don't come from, I'm not born and raised in LA. My dad wasn't in professional sports. And so I don't know anybody growing up that had a PhD. I didn't know what a PhD was. For sure, even as an undergraduate, I had no idea. I could not have told you the difference between a master's and a
Yeah,
PhD. Not that people don't have success where I'm from, but it's very, very rare to get out. But people aren't surgeons, and I didn't know anybody famous growing up. I didn't even
yeah.
know anybody who'd met anybody famous. Like, other than maybe like you went to a Mariners game and Joey Cora was walking around and you got to wave at him or something. Like,
Right, right.
that was it, right? So I could give you 100 examples of this throughout my career, but I'll give you a couple. And it directly answers a question, right? It's just like, how did you get these breaks? Well, what I told you is I did my undergraduate and I played football, and then I started working in Arizona with professional athletes. I didn't tell you how I got that job, and that is this. So I was an undergraduate, and I actually remember being on recruiting trips and asking sort of like, what are you interested in academically? And I was always like, hey, human performance, sport performance, and like those programs didn't exist. So they were always like, oh, okay, like public health and like athletic training. And I was like, no, like, no. But that's all we had. So even our exercise science degree, it was really just the exercise of public health and like how do I get people out of obesity and stuff, whatever. There was nobody there focusing on human performance really. So I remember, I think it probably as a senior or junior, one of the faculty members was, sort of like, hey, I want to set up a booth out front where we have blood pressure screening. So people can come by, we can check their blood pressure and start teaching people the importance and, hey, early signs of, you know, chronic disease, etc. And she's like, does anybody want to do it? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. And she was just like, great. And she's just like, you know, you want to do this type of stuff? And I was like, absolutely not. I could not be
No,
less interested. Like, I
care
so
less
hate public
actually.
health.
Yeah,
I hate it. She's like, do you know how to check blood pressure? And I was like, absolutely no idea. And I was like, great. But she's like, you want help? Or basically, she's like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, if you want help, I'm in. Like, let's do it. It doesn't matter, right? That's just where I came from. It's just like,
yeah. Work. Put on the work boots.
hey, 100%, right? It's just like, take your shot. So I did that, and I sat there in the cold Oregon rain, and just nobody came by, and I didn't do anything. It's just
They
like,
didn't even want to do
I'm a
it. You didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. Right.
nobody. I'm a college football player. I'm trying to get a degree in an area that I was grossly underprepared for, by the way, like coming from the academics in my high school. I didn't have the free couple of hours, but I did it anyways.
Yeah.
Well, a year or something goes by, and she emailed me and something. Actually probably saw me in the hallway. I didn't really use email much back then. And she's just like, hey, one of our former alumni is working up at Adidas, and Adidas' headquarters is in Portland. And they have an opening for somebody to run the corporate wellness gym. Do you want to do it? And I was like, fuck yeah. And she's
I'm
like,
in.
do you have do you want to know how much it gets paid? And I was like, nope. Like, I'm in. It was like, great. So I was leaving my house at like 3:15, 3:30 in the morning to drive all the way up to up to Portland to open up the gym by like 6 a.m. And then get that done to get back to practice. Typically started at like 2 or about 3, but you got to be there early, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll do that shift. And I was minimum wage, probably, if anything. This is like, okay. And so I was up there for a while, and I started getting early because where I'm from, my dad worked in road construction, and we worked in the farm. So it's like, if your shift started at 7 a.m., if you got there at 6:50, you were for sure going to get fired. That you're absolutely
Late.
going to get fired, right?
Yeah.
Like, no chance. So I was just showing up like a half an hour early, just like way, and I like, I have a long drive. What if I run out of gas? Like all these contingencies, right? So just to make sure I was never late. So because of that, I was always way early. Well, what I noticed is people were there in the gym waiting to get in. I'm like, damn, there's these people here. Like, so I'll just let them in. And they noticed that, and they're just like, they got really excited. And so I ended up just like treating these people super well. And there's nobody in the gym, so I was basically like personal training them, even though I wasn't like supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I'm just like hustling on these people. Well, it ends up being like two of them just worked in the smoothie shop or something on campus, and or to get their workouts in. But the other like four of them were on the executive team, and I didn't have any idea who was who or anything, and I just was just treating everybody like they were CEO, right? It didn't take very many months for one of the guys to be like, "Hey, we have these associates in Arizona. I think like, you know, we put in a word for you. I think that's where you should actually be." Like they knew I didn't want to be a corporate
Yeah.
wellness person, right? But I was just training them as best I could. So I was like, dope. So that's how I got that opportunity. And that was a really tough spot to get down there. This is the only facility in the world like it at the time. So I guess the reason I'm saying is like I come back to how did I get that break? It's because I sat in the rain and checked blood pressure, doing nothing I wanted to do with no time I had. How did I get that next break? Because I drove an hour and a half every day, for minimum wage. Probably lost money after I paid
At 3 in the
gas
morning.
at 3 in the morning. You're like, that's how I got those breaks. And I could tell you every single story that I have about the next biggest break, the next biggest break. It's always it's the same story
Yeah.
over and over again. It's just different pieces.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I think, and I've said this numerous times, for some reason, this is a theme coming up lately, it seems like, but how many people, they only want to do something if it's going to benefit them immediately, right? I think that's the world we live in. And it's like, I think of the grind I used to have as a young financial advisor 21 years ago. And, they said make 40 phone calls while I was making 75 to 100, right? And it sucks calling people. Nobody wanted to talk to you. Especially then, people answered their phones because there wasn't caller ID. You'd say who they are, yeah, boom, it'd hang up. I mean, it was terrible, right? But that's the grind that we got to go on, whether it's business, it's fitness, it's investments, whatever it may be. That's the stuff that we got to do every day. And so what I'd love to spend time on is that optimum, kind of what I'd call optimal performance, right? So let's talk the mental side and then maybe the physical side as well. On what you're doing. How are you helping people, these MVPs, if you will, be at the peak of their performance and use the lens of the businessman or woman that's driving down the road? Listen to this right now.
Yeah, you got it. So actually, this works well because I've had the professional athletes, but I also have a company called Rapid Health Optimization, and that is specifically for non-athletes that basically want the athlete treatment. So I'm going to describe to you what we do with the athletes, and it's
Rapid
the same
health, what
exact
was
model.
it?
Optimization.
Optimization. Okay.
This is the exact same model that you go through, and we have been doing that for quite a while. With
I promise you, he didn't put me up to this. For those of you listening, this is a legitimate
yeah,
question.
yeah, this is exactly what this company does.
Okay.
So here's what we do. The general philosophy is this. I want to give people extraordinarily high levels of precision with whatever they're asking them to do. That way we don't waste time. There are infinite things you could do or might help or help a little bit. But what are those 3 to 5 things that we call performance anchors? So these are things that are holding you back and dragging down your ship the most. If I can find those and pull those out and then get out of the way, you'll start taking off, right? You'll hit speeds you've never reached, and you'll do it with less friction, less resistance. It'll be easier. That's what we're after. So in order to do that, we have to do an incredibly detailed analysis to figure out what those things truly are. People will sometimes refer to these as things like these are root causes rather than symptoms. So we're going after solutions to solve problems, not cover up symptoms. And when we do that, then we just get out of the way, and physiology takes you to unbelievable levels. So what we do is we have a two-step process. Step one is what we call decode. So this typically takes us something like 60 days, and we run giant experiments on you, and we want to know four primary things. I want to know every single thing that goes in your body, every food you eat, where you get your water from, what type of toothpaste you use, where's your shampoo coming from, everything that goes in your body. Number two, everything that comes out of your body, saliva, stool, urine, blood, more blood, some more blood after that, a little bit more blood when you're done with all that blood, sometimes hair, anything else we possibly need. Step number three, how that all makes you feel. So we use a bunch of scientifically validated questionnaires and a bunch of other things I've used in my practice for a long time. And then the fourth component there is how you perform. So we want to actually test performance. So we're going to see how your body functions. We're going to track a whole bunch of things. This could even include doing things in your own home, in your own bedroom. So there are cases in which we want to dive extremely hard into sleep with another company called Absolute Rest. They can come back and talk more about this. But this is a full grade clinical sleep study done in your own bedroom, in your own house. This is full eye scanning, brain tracking, or eye tracking and brain scanning, full environmental analysis of your bedroom. So this is any of the dander or allergens or pollen in the air. This is any organic compounds coming out of your mattress or formaldehyde or mold or any of these things, right? So
And
we're
you're
going
doing all this
very,
from, you're in California. Sorry to interrupt. This is amazing. So you're in California. I'm here in, St. Louis. You're doing this through me. I hire you guys, and that's how we're doing it.
yeah, we show up, we come to your house.
Oh, you physically come to my house.
Yeah, we're going to send a scientist to your house to run
Wow.
that whole thing. We're going to send a phlebotomist to your house or your gym or your office or like you
Right.
tell us where. We've got people all over. It's just like, hey, I'm in here. And okay, great. We'll meet you there. We'll send somebody. They'll take the blood for you. I mean, you got to do your own stool sample. I'm not going to take that one for you.
All right. Thank you. I'm
Um,
glad. I thought
but
that was
everything
maybe
else,
part of your job duties, but maybe not.
hey, now you'll get it. You'll get a scientist, to your house with the sleep study for sure to run that thing. And then for the other stuff, yeah, we'll send a phlebotomist to your house and just take care of everything.
Wow.
I told you this is the $100 million athlete model, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're not going to have you drive to 7 labs and set lab core appointments. Like, no, we're going to handle all that stuff for you, and like someone's going to show up and take care of it, and you're going to go back to work.
And
So
is
that's
this
what
like
you
an
got to do.
annual fee or one-time fee, a monthly fee? How do people, and you don't have to get into the numbers right now if you don't want to, but how does that work?
Yeah, generally, there's sometimes some payment options, but it's a one-time fee, and then typically it's an 8-month program.
Okay.
So typically, depending on your schedule, more than ours actually, takes us about 2 months to get all the information, and then we generally need about 6 months to correct everything.
Okay.
So there's
And
a
be
single flat
correcting, you
fee
may
for
say,
that
hey,
program.
this is your mattress is terrible. Get a new mattress because this stuff's coming out of it. You're using the wrong shampoo for your blood type. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this is, I mean, probably not that second example, but
Yeah.
close.
Okay.
More like, hey, you need to focus on stress management. You need to actually, like your biggest problem is you've got this fungal overgrowth, you've got this micronutrient deficiency, and then your cardiovascular fitness isn't sufficient. But your actually problem is your leg strength isn't good enough, you don't have enough muscle, and you're actually um, have known toxins exposure. So we got to get that cleared out or whatever. So we try to boil it down to something like 2 to 5 things. And then what happens is once we complete that decode, then you get put on that optimization plan, which sometimes again it takes 2 months, sometimes it's
Okay.
5 to 6 months, and then you have a dedicated coach for the entire thing that runs you through everything. And then what's most important for the athletes, but it's most important for your listeners too, is the reason why this thing takes 5 months and the reason you have a weekly coach or unlimited coach, really, call him anytime you want, is because we can't just dump all that on your plate right now. So in addition to all those solutions, we build them out in the order you need to accomplish them such that it's realistic, right? And so we
Okay.
say like, hey, you're going to do this phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, right? And it's like eventually roll it out. So by the end of the 5 months, so like, for example, the mattress thing you kind of said, that actually might be on our list, but we might say, hey, like that's our 5th priority. So let's get to that month 5. Right now,
Okay.
you've got this thing that's got to get cleaned up in your blood. You've got this other thing happening, and your brain focus is down. Your sex drive is way off. Your any number of things, right? Brain fog is there. We got to do A and B to clean those up. Then we can get to I don't like the water filter you're using in your house. But right now, you can't get through your day without crashing in the afternoon. We're going to fix that with this here first or whatever. So
Wow.
it's all built out in order in a system for you. So you just sort of have to show up every week, and follow whatever your coach has on. And then by the end of the 5 months, everything will get taken care of. And you'll be on a new level.
That's
So
amazing. What are you finding then in those? Like, is there a common thing that you're seeing in today's world for those people that want peak performance? And that may be somebody that's a police officer driving down the road. It could be a sales rep, a stay-at-home mom, dad, whatever it may be. Are you finding common themes?
So the way that our solutions come in really 6 general areas. So area 1 is physical fitness and survival
Yep.
capacity, which is like your fitness, exercise. Area number 2 is stress management. Area 3 is sleep. Area 4 is nutrition. Area 5 is supplementation. And then area 6 is what we call X factor. So that's anything else that didn't fall in one of those 5 categories. So the question is, what are the more prominent ones that we see? Unfortunately, there is no like ones, because sometimes it's entirely X factor. Sometimes it's entirely comes down to sleep. Sometimes it's entirely about you're eating a good diet. It's just not right for your body. And then we just make some dietary changes, and it's like, holy shit, everything went away.
Yeah.
My skin cleared up. Like those rashes and psoriasis are now gone. Like all we did was change my diet a little bit. Sometimes it's specific supplementation. A lot of times, because supplements are so easy, people can actually get themselves into problems because they're taking sort of weird combinations that aren't right for their body. And so we actually can get you on one that's more precise for your body, and then just everything goes away.
Okay.
Like all the bad stuff. Sometimes it is exercise related. Sometimes it's breath work. It really sort of depends. There is no common themes. What I can say is we oftentimes get people who are like, I'm pretty health conscious. I've actually been spending a lot of time the last couple of years and a lot of money. I feel a little bit better, but I'm not really totally sure. You're like, oh, okay. You just don't have precision. That's the problem. Is like you listen to this podcast, you tried this. You heard this from your friend, you tried that. But you don't have any idea of whether or not that was actually the right thing, or if it's counteracting something else or making something worse. So that's the part where people are just like, man, there's too much going on here for me to figure all this stuff out. And so we just say, look, give me 2 months. Give me 2 months, and we'll get all these things figured out for you, and there'll just be no more guesswork.
Which is amazing, right? You're right. I listen to podcasts. They're like, oh, you got to take this vitamin. And it's like, well, hell, I don't know.
Totally.
You haven't done my blood work. You don't know if that's good or bad for me, right?
Oh, boy. Like, don't get me started on that. But yeah. Like, I can't tell you how many, what we've been getting a lot of lately is a lot of TRT rejects. So a lot of people who get so excited about TRT, and they get it from either their friend who's a doctor or just like a thing, and then it works amazing for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 4 months, and then a year later they come to us and they're just like, I feel awful. We're just like, you cannot play, even if it's just like a little bit of DHEA, just like a little bit of this. I just took one, and they just train wreck themselves. So they feel awful. So we've been getting a lot of that one for some reason lately.
Interesting.
Because they just hear it on stuff, and they're just like, hey, testosterone is so important, and all of us are low in testosterone. They hear all these things. So just take a little bit. It's safe. It is safe. It's not like dangerous. But if you don't really understand the complexity of the system, then you just start running into, all you've done is like we said earlier, like you've kind of covered up the symptom, but you didn't figure out, well, why is your testosterone low to begin with?
Yeah.
That's the problem. So that's what we do, is we figure that thing out, and then we solve that problem, and then it's just not low anymore. You don't have to worry about cycling this on top of that, and then taking the next one, and then taking the next one, and just always you got shit to do.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure you're worried about all that stuff all the time? Just get it all solved and let physiology take care of everything and get out of the way.
I'm glad I asked the question, man. That's phenomenal. We could probably stop the podcast there and just have everybody just call you up and get it done, right? And say, there's the podcast, ladies and
I don't know
gentlemen.
if you realize you're just like 5 minutes in, you're going to give me a 20-minute promo for my company. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, you had one question on the whole podcast, and Andy's now a billionaire.
Just pitch.
Yeah, exactly. No, but you know what, man? It's not a pitch, because you're absolutely right. Like, you can see this sticker here on my microphone, future greater than your past, is helping people achieve a future greater than your past. That's what we do as our firm. It's what I do personally. That's when time stops for me, man. It's just I could talk about this stuff for hours, because the point of this podcast is to help that person. I don't care if one person listens to this, right? And we just help that one person. Man, your goal was met. My goal was met. We help them achieve a future great in your past. And so it's not a pitch when you're really serving people. But let's do give them maybe some, if you're even open to this, high level type things, because obviously you've not done my blood work or anybody else's and all the other 2 months worth of work that you've done. But if I follow, let's just pick on you. If I follow Andy Galpin around, what am I seeing no miss items that you're doing every day without fail?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things to say here. I'm going to directly answer your question, but I need to give it a little bit of context first. I promise I won't go too long.
No, you're fine.
Major mistake people make is worrying too much about optimization. And here's what I mean. Imagine a bowling alley, or a bowling lane rather, right? And
Okay.
you've done bowling before with the bumper on the side, right? And everyone will come in and say, hey, I got to throw my bowling ball directly down the middle, right? I got to go make sure, and I'm trying to improve making sure that bowling ball is optimized, being on the optimal path because I don't want to hit the bumpers. Okay, fine. And you're so concerned about making sure your bowling ball is on the exact right spot on the lane. You could also reduce your chances of hitting the side by just widening the lane. And now everything, even if it is 10 or 15 or 20% off, still is optimal because it's still nowhere near the bumper. That's exactly what we have to pay attention to. That's what we call resilience. So I don't want to make you what we call precious, which is like you have to do 15 things every single day in order to have a good day. I want you to be far more resilient. So I love morning routines. These are fine. But people become a victim to these things so quickly that we have to go, no, you've actually just become super sensitive. So now if you don't have your specific 20-minute routine this and 5-minute this and this and this and this, all of a sudden you can't fucking function.
Right.
You've become really, really, really precious. So we have to make sure two things. There's optimization and then there's adaptation on the other end of the spectrum. You cannot get both at the same time. So what we want to do is work a balance. So when you ask about like what are the whatever things I do that are non-negotiables, I don't have any of them for that exact reason. There are certain things I like to do generally, but I make sure that I am not a victim to having to have a specific daily thing. Exercise is obviously very high on my list, but I do not exercise every single day. Right? Now I would like to, but sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes like I want to sit on my couch and watch the entire Masters tournament. Like that's what's going to happen, right? I'm going to watch 9 hours of golf today. Like what? Oh yeah. Like my wife's just like, how?
Yeah, exactly.
I justify it, right? Because I'm like, well, I'm trying to watch blah blah blah. Because I got a bunch of guys on tour right now, like several that are always in contention, right?
I love it.
But she's just like, but really, did you have to watch every single shot of their 6-hour round?
It's for work,
like,
honey.
Yes. For work, honey. Like you haven't seen the kids. Like, that'll be fun.
Yeah, they'll be.
Anyhow, so yeah, my day is better. I'm more productive, happier, all the things when I exercise. Some days I don't worry about it. I love all kinds of things, but I also need to be in a position to where, like for example, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Montana hunting for a week. Like I need to be as good then as I am here, right? Which is just like I didn't have a chance to wake up. I didn't gratitude journals. It's like I got up on a few hours sleep. I hiked my ass for 6 hours. Like I didn't get to optimally hydrate. I didn't get to like. It's just like and you still need to have a great day, right? I don't want to have a headache and brain fog because I didn't. You don't want to be there, right? So the same thing is with sleep. Some people have big problems creating their sleep routines. And you're like, oh, I sleep optimally, and you're just like, wait a minute, you have to have this, and you had to have this 2-hour routine. What happens when you travel? Oh, I sleep terrible. Of course you do.
Right.
You made yourself super, super sensitive. Like you can't do it that way. That's why you sleep like shit on the road. It's because you're too precious at home. That's why. So I didn't answer your question at all, but that's like I'm very careful about those things.
Well, I think it's real though, man, because I ask that question a lot. As even on the day, because there's plenty. What you just said, I totally connected with, man. There's plenty of days, and trust me, I'm a guy. I journal. I do have my morning routine, like from exercise to my journal to whatever it may be, and that's for me because I know I win the day. And it causes less stress. I'm happier and healthier and more productive when I do that, right? So I know that works for me. It may not work for everybody else. But I think what you're saying is you're just being real, right? You're just being truthful. And to use your word precious, I mean, that's the thing that sometimes we do. We get so focused on being perfect that it can screw the whole rest of the day up, and then you beat your ass the whole day. Not good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Or it's actually not even you. It's actually a thing, right? So you actually
Yeah.
do feel worse
Yeah.
on those days. Okay,
So
great.
yeah.
So what I encourage people to do is to develop a routine that they know makes them feel tremendous. I just don't want you to use it every single day. And I want you to actually practice sometimes intentionally not using it.
Yeah.
And that's how we end up in a really, really good spot, right? So so yeah, like what I generally do in the mornings, up, I'm always going to generally try to do some sort of movement. Hydration is there. I'm also going to be spending kid time. No question. I try to protect those times as much as I possibly can.
Yep.
I refuse to do work and podcasts and stuff in the morning, like hang out with my kids for a little bit. Um, and then I'm sort of off and rolling, right? And you're going to train at some point throughout the day. I don't train in the mornings. I'm going to see my kids in these other various spots. So like I kind of anchor things around that. Like basically, if I can get movement and I can get my kids stuff in, the rest of the day can work itself around. And I have specific little things I like to do. Like I actually find that I generally like to do some sort of human interaction as early as possible, meeting wise, which is counter to what a lot of people will tell you is like protect your mornings for creative times and stuff like that. I actually kind of like to get those done out of the way first. And then I feel like that gives me actually a pretty good amount of energy. And then I want like 3 hours of nobody around. So
isn't that funny?
like,
Again, I think this is important because I'm the opposite. I don't want to have a meeting first thing, but that late morning at that 10 o'clock, that 10:30 for me, I love my meetings in the middle of the day. So I like my morning open, my afternoon. But I think what I'm hearing is you and I probably spend a lot of time testing that and knowing it, and then just committing to it and being okay with it, right?
yeah, 100%. Like I actually, so the reason I like it for myself is I tend to have a huge burst of solution in the morning. And I actually want to dump that to somebody generally. I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, boom, do this, blah, 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 blah. And I don't want all these things to type it out. So I just fire it off to somebody. What do we have to do today? What do we have to update on somebody overnight? Different time zone, this athlete needs this, got it. And I like all these things done. And then I can go do the stuff I have to because I feel free. Because all those things are taken care of. People are off, they're doing their stuff.
Yep.
Everybody's taken care of. And now I'm good. As opposed to sitting there like trying to be creative and trying to write or read or do whatever. While I'm like, man, I wonder what X athlete's doing. Like they needed this thing. Are they okay? What's their weight at? How
Right.
did they feel last night? We tried this experiment. How did it go? I can't focus. I want to know those answers. I want to give them what they're doing, get off, and then get going. And that's done within a half an hour in the mornings.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
off. So I'm off and rolling.
So can you just give me some feedback if you can, selfishly here? So I try to do weights 3 times a week, cardio twice, and then what I call mobility. It's like a golf thing I do. It's called Golf Forever, actually. It's an awesome tool. And so when you hear that, 3 times weights, 2 times cardio, mobility 1 time, how do you feel?
Okay. It's okay. I would probably push. Obviously, I want to know more details. When you say weights, I want to know what kind. And when you say cardio, I want to know what kind. I would probably say that's not enough cardio. If I had to, without knowing anything about you more than what you've heard on camera so far, I'd probably say three conditioning, 2 lifting, generally.
So that's interesting. So the 3 cardio to 1 lifting.
I just think people generally underserve. There's lots of different types of conditioning, and it also needs to be dosed more frequently. You can get away with dosing strength training a little bit less frequently. You cannot get away with not doing fitness, not for very long. So it would really depend on what you're doing in those workouts. So some people kind of like lift weights and they're doing a pretty good, like if you're doing like in a circuit fashion and your heart rate's elevated, sustained for a long time, then you might be good. If your cardio is 20 minutes on the Stairmaster, or your cardio is a 20-minute walk, then it's like, this is not cutting it here.
Right.
If your cardio is, I do an hour of spin class, okay, like that's pretty good, actually. You're probably getting pretty good. So it would depend on details.
Okay. Cool. When you look
also,
back,
I would say mobility once a week is not enough.
Not enough.
No.
Okay.
Especially if you're going to be playing golf.
Yeah.
You got to have some more. How often do you, I assume you play, right?
Yeah. I mean, once or twice a week, not now because it's freaking 25 degrees here, but yeah, in the April through October time frame, I try to play twice a week.
So that's, I mean, you're going to have 300 swings throughout that day, probably. That's so there's a lot of correction that needs to kind of happen to reverse all that stuff, if you
Maybe
will.
about 140 swings in those 2 rounds, but anyway, I digress. So again, following you around. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes here. How do we, when you think about self-defeating thinking versus maybe positive thinking, when you hear me say those two things, how do we defeat that self-defeating thinking? How do we get over that and get into the positive world?
Well, I'm not a mental health specialist at all, so take that for what you will. All I can talk about is what works for me personally
Yep.
and the way that I will generally work with athletes. If we see that they need anything in this area, we're going to outsource, right? So I have
Yep.
wonderful sports psychologists we work with and therapists. Okay, so caveats out.
Yep.
Nobody sue me. Um, honestly, for me, it goes back to the way I was raised, right? Which was you kind of nailed it when I was talking about it. It's like it's a very much it was a culture of like I don't really care whose fault it was, but it's your responsibility at this point,
Yep.
right? Okay, so that works for me. That type of like it doesn't matter if it was fair or not. Like here's a golden opportunity to get better. That stuff resonates. It doesn't work with everybody. Sometimes I actually work in a Cal State Fullerton. We have a lot of people who come from disadvantaged homes, first generation students. That stuff doesn't always work with them because life has been extraordinarily hard,
Yeah.
and it's just like, hey, this is not helpful. Um, so for those folks, you have to be like do the opposite almost, where it's just like compassion is right there. For me personally, works perfectly. It works perfectly, right? It's just like it doesn't matter if like if and also the way I'll say this because of my football background. So in football, you have a very short amount of time to make corrections. If another team is out scheming you, you have to figure that out very quickly and make changes. So you have to be able to go to the sidelines or in between in 20 seconds or less with 11 people, figure out who screwed up and why. And you learn very quickly that it's not about whose fault is it. Oh my God, I'm mad at you. It's about we got to get this thing fixed in 20 seconds before they do this again and we
Right.
lose. So that actually was it was a especially in college. It was not the same in high school. It's just a different level in college, and we were a very successful team. So it was very easy for me to learn that lesson of like, hey, like how the hell did this guy get open? Oh yeah, I did this. Okay, great. Remember? Oh yeah, got it. Boom. And you let go of that like, oh my God, it's my fault. I feel bad, and you just go straight to like, it's my fault. Awesome. Now we're not confused on why this has happened. The worst scenario is like, what happened? Everyone goes, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, and they keep beating you. And you're just like, what's happening? And like that is the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is like, oh, me, coach, I screwed up. I totally tanked that one. Great. Whew. Everyone relaxes and goes, all right, cool. You all make mistakes. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. It's really hard when you can't figure out why. So my answer to your question is that for me is it's like when I figure out that it's like something that I screwed up, or when I found out the problem, if it's one of my grad students, and this is how I mentor my students, by the way, is when they make a mistake and they're just like waiting to get yelled at the first time, I'm always like, awesome. Amazing. Cool. Now we know why. Now I
Yep.
don't have to spend the next. We've actually had this happen in my lab before where something got contaminated and we just spent a month, and I can't tell you, probably $20,000 or more, which is a lot for that lab.
Yeah.
And a month of time to figure out like why are these experiments not working? We just could not figure it out. And then eventually one of the students was like, "Oh yeah, like I may have mixed that thing into there." And I was like, "Jesus." It's like just tell me. You would have
Right.
saved us 20 grand.
Say,
And
and you owe
they're
me
just
20
like,
grand.
yeah. No, no, but that's part of like the process because they're just like,
Yeah.
oh. And they were so caught up in exactly what you said, which is like the negative thing, the stuff like I'm gonna get in trouble versus like I don't care about getting in trouble. I just care about finding a solution.
Yeah.
So that's how it works for me, and that's how I try to run my lab. But yeah, it won't work for everyone.
So I read this somewhere else, on your Instagram or maybe another podcast you're on, but it said lack of cognitive demand is the primary driver for dementia and late onset Alzheimer's. So talk to us. What is that? What does that mean by lack of cognitive demand?
Yeah, so this is my paper from my friend Tommy Wood. Tommy is a PhD, MD at the University of Washington, neuroscientist, and he had a really great paper that came out. So let's break those things down a little bit. Dementia is dementia, right? Lack of cognitive function over time, and then late Alzheimer's. late onset Alzheimer's is different from early onset. So you probably know of people or heard of people that get, Alzheimer's at like 35 years old. All right, this is not what we're talking about. That's more of like what we call early onset. Late onset is you're 65, 70, 75, and just like you're getting dementia, Alzheimer's, and it's like you don't even really know what it is per se because you just have this giant loss of cognitive function.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. Now, what the cognitive tasking is in that paper, Tommy like presented pretty good information, pretty good evidence rather, that just like the adage of your muscle, where it's sort of like you don't lose it, you use it. We've said the same thing for your brain, but he actually found and was able to outline the molecular mechanisms pretty well of why that exactly happens. And then, of course, on the end of that, he had 6 criteria of exactly what to do about it. And so what he's basically showing is if you don't use your brain in a challenging task, it's your chances of getting dementia. Just like if you don't use your muscles, they go away. So what he showed were things like this, everything from learning music, even playing music or listening to music, social connection, physical exercise. He had a whole host of other things like brain tasks and things you can like brain puzzles and stuff like that, even video games. All these things actually cause your brain to work and think. And one of the major mistakes people make is they're like, oh, I work so hard, so my brain is always on. And actually, he showed pretty clearly that's not the case. So a lot of folks who have a busy job, if it's not actually cognitively demanding, even though you think it's like it's stressful or it's time consuming, then you're not getting any protective benefits of it. And so that was like pretty clear that you need to actually be going out of your way to do something that's challenging for your brain. Another one is actually proprioception. So this is things like learning a sport or being unbalanced or surfing, skateboarding, being in nature where sensory input is changing and your brain has to bring in the new smells, the new sounds, the new balance, the new distance that something is away from you. That is also a cognitive challenge. And that was actually explaining why people say things like get out in nature. But he was actually showing why that actually matters. So you don't have to do all of these things for the protective benefits. You just need at least one of them, but you're probably better off having a couple of them.
Okay. It's funny you say that about even though you think you're busy, you're using your brain. I wonder sometimes because I'm pretty dialed into what I do every day at my normal work at Visionary Wealth Advisors. And then, then I do a podcast, right? And it's like, I'm talking about basically the same things every day, all day. And I'm like, man, I wonder if I'm not quote unquote diversified enough in my brain thinking, right?
You're probably not, because at this point, you're probably very good at those things too.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that challenging. So in fact, if you look at like people who speak multiple language versus people who are learning that second language, the protective benefit is far greater for the people learning than the people that speak it, which suggests, again, it's not the actual task, it's the novel challenge.
It's the challenge, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So my 8-year-old, as we do bedtime each night, he's been having me do crossword puzzles. We do 1 or 2 crossword puzzles. Is that helping?
Oh, of course.
How about Wordle?
Yeah.
Is that helping me?
I don't know. I've actually never. I know it's on your phone. I know it's the craze. I don't actually know what it is though. So
yeah, it's probably helping me, but also hurting me because it's on my phone, right? I'm getting the blue light and all that other crap before bed.
Well, maybe not. That's actually that'll be a part of our. That's part of our program too with our executive folks is making sure that, especially as they get into that age bracket, that they have some part of their weekly routine that is actually checking off a couple of those boxes.
Yeah. I love it. So if you had more time right now, because obviously with businesses and teaching and kids and being a spouse, all that stuff, what is it that you wish you had more time to do right now?
Play golf. 100%. There you go. You'll see me walking around the house. It's like constantly lining stuff up and about it. She's just like, why don't you go play? I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I take the next 5 hours, honey, away from home and go play golf?
That's the shitty part about golf.
Yeah,
you just
it is, man.
Like I can go in my garage and train, and I could be there in 20 minutes if I absolutely had to. 45 minutes. Like I can't go to the range. I'm just like, don't even. No. I'm not gonna go play. Like I'm not going to the range. No, I'm not gonna do that.
That's why, again, just like you're watching the Masters for work, I'm doing work, right? Whether it's with clients or our advisors, I'm going working when I'm golfing, and then the rest is on the weekends.
Totally
good stuff.
Totally. My
Well,
kids are
this has been
just
awesome,
too young
man.
right
It's
now.
I've got a lot more questions, but I think a lot of them are going to come back to your deal, right? The rapid health optimization. Not to keep plugging that, but I mean it is, right? So I was going to say, talk about energy management. Well, it kind of probably depends. What vitamins or supplements? It depends. What I need to be eating. It depends. I mean, there's so many things, and you're so spot on with this, man. That I would say hats off to you because I've not seen anybody else, and you're the 313th person I've interviewed, and I've been doing this for 20 years. I've not heard of anything like this, especially for executives, because you're right. It's usually I won't name names, but the MVPs of the world, right? The Masters champions that are getting this type of stuff. And so I think it's awesome what you're doing. So last thing I'll ask, two things. One is the cold plunge or a sauna, infrared sauna. I just got an infrared sauna, and I'm spending about 18 to 22 minutes a day in there at about 140 degrees, maybe 100 if it takes a while to heat up, 132 degrees, somewhere in there. Give me the feedback on that. How do you feel about my infrared sauna usage?
It's okay.
Okay. Don't make me
You
feel
feel
bad
good
about
about
the major purchase I just made, damn it. And all the money I
I don't.
spent building it into my fitness room.
I'm not the hugest fan of
Yeah.
infrared personally. They don't get hot enough.
Yeah. Well, that's funny
They're
because I
okay.
sweat bullets, man. It's like I feel like this euphoric feeling when I get out of there. It is amazing. So I don't
Yep.
know what the science is
I,
behind it, but it's incredible.
well, this is actually one of the things that you'll hear me say constantly is the science is you. So if you're getting out of there feeling significantly better, then you are feeling significantly better. Then that
Yeah.
is a good thing. Like good things are happening.
Yeah.
100%. I don't really care what any paper says in terms of the optimal time or what any paper says in terms of the optimal temperature. If you're like, no, man, like I get out of there and I feel incredible, like then you're winning. Like that's a
Yeah.
huge thing. So I like other sort of twists on that story a little bit better, but it's a bit nitpicky.
Yeah.
You put
And,
it in
and
there,
what's
you're
an
happy with
example?
it.
Like, what's the twist that you like better?
Well, I like water immersion better than air. So I like people being in cold or in hot bath or jacuzzi better than air, unless you can get into a full sauna and you can get really, really, really hot. So we generally aim for over 200 degrees,
Okay.
closer to 215 to 100.
Yeah.
You don't have to start there though.
Yeah.
So
Well, I literally think I would die if I did that. There's times when it's 140. I think it goes up to 149. I'm sitting in there. I'm like, this is brutal. Like, it's
yeah,
brutal. And so what? So
yeah.
we have a spa deal. So how high or how hot should I set that for your hot water? That would be obviously it's closed now because it's 25 degrees. Well, I guess I can keep it open, but how
Yeah.
hot do you get that one?
Uh, well, that's different because now you got to worry about burning your skin.
Right, right.
So if you get in there and it's 115, like yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
get real nice and hot, but that's not gonna feel good. So the temperature I'm most worried about there because it's direct contact, so surface area is
yeah,
much higher. So
yeah.
get in there. Don't burn your skin.
Okay.
Like don't get in there and have your
You
skin
said
on and be like, wow,
102,
I'm sweating.
104, or something like that. You're okay with that. I'm feeling good on
Yeah,
that, and it's hotter than hell.
totally
I'm
fine.
sweating. Yeah,
Yep. And you can hang out in there and do it. And either way, like I said, they're both fine.
yeah,
Um, you're gonna get most of the physiological benefits from either of those things. And so my advice to you would be like, if you just put that thing in your house, just keep using it.
yeah.
It's great.
Okay.
It's good enough.
Well,
Yeah. How often are you using it?
well, right now it's built into my pool, so it's not movable, and so it's yeah, so not at all right now, actually at all. So,
Yeah.
but again, that sauna, I mean, the sweating on that is like something I've never done before. I mean, it's
Love it,
crazy.
man.
So good. Okay.
Love it. And that's probably like, again, a lot of these things are about building lifestyle habits as well.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make perfect be the enemy of good.
Right. I like that. It's a great saying. Last couple things here that I told you, but the power of sleep and the power of hydration.
You're not going to find anything probably more impactful on every aspect of your life than sleep. Um, Hydration is the easier one. Look, water
Yeah.
is the only thing that every living species has to have. So that should tell you it's involved in everything.
Yeah.
We have solved a number of problems with people simply because of hydration issues, either under or over. We actually had this from a female executive in Texas, is the closest way I'll say it. Um, all kinds of problems, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day, uh, brain fog stuff, headaches, all kinds of things, up and down, blah, blah, blah. Run the whole thing, thought she had maybe mercury, maybe it was, because similar, same symptoms are common with multiple issues, right? So maybe
Hmm.
mercury overload because a lot of fish, like all these things, maybe there's something going on. I thought maybe there's like a fungal infection in her gut, some of these things going on. And she was just actually overhydrating massively.
Wow.
And so we actually just backed her water off considerably within days. She was like, "Oh my God, I haven't been this focused in years, and like all my headaches gone away, everything gone." And I'm just like, "You were actually just basically causing yourself what's called hyponatremia. You're just smashing excessive amounts of water without
Yeah.
understanding electrolyte balance." The opposite is also the problem, right? Where you just have significant problem, sleep issues. Hydration can cause sleep issues both directions. So there's actually a thing called nocturia, which is excessive urination at night. So if you're getting up and peeing at night, every single night, multiple times a night, that's a huge indicator of either excessive hydration, but most of the time it's an indicator of a sleep disorder. But we can figure that out. So we can actually use that against are you waking up thirsty or not, and figuring out where you're at. And so we can actually fix sleep problems, um, either by fixing sleep or by fixing hydration or the inverse, depending on what the cause is. So those things are intertwined.
Yeah.
And then just like to jump over to sleep really quickly, I mean, it's I don't even know how to start here because it's everything, right? With that Absolute Rest company, which is separate from Rapid, but we work together quite a bit. Like the amount of people that I'll put it this way. Here's a quick story. We had an individual in, I'll say the Midwest, but I don't give away too much. Um, and he was a trader. This is the way I'll say it. And he sort of tracked. He had a wearable, sleep wearable, like an Aura ring or
Yeah.
something. I think it was Aura. And he had the last 4 years tracked of his Aura data against his trades. And he had a very specific and almost direct correlation between money lost on trades and bad sleep, and the inverse. And so when we were working with them and got the part about like, okay, it's cost this much, he was just like, I don't give a fuck because I've
Right.
lost millions with bad
Yeah.
sleep. And he's like, a few $1,000s, like, no chance I care. And we're
Right.
like, holy cow. And it wasn't probably 2 weeks in where he's just like, you guys changed my life. It's
Wow.
like, all right, dope. And we've
It's
seen
awesome.
that routinely. We've got construction worker guys, I haven't slept in the night in 40 years, and now I sleep the night almost every night.
Mm.
So like it's a very, very correctable thing if you know what you're doing. The common mistake with sleep is people just go straight to drugs and supplementation.
Yeah.
Melatonin is a absolute disaster to use. It
Mm.
can be some benefit, but we will routinely see people that have like 100x the amount of melatonin circulating in their system than they're actually taking in the supplement. And that's
Wow.
because that industry is super fraudulent. So you can actually have anywhere between 1,000 or higher amount of melatonin in the supplement that's actually on the label. And so people are walking around the next day with, again, 20 to 40 to 50 times higher concentrations in their melatonin during the day than it should be. And then they wonder why they're tired. So what do? They go to stimulants. And then they have so many stimulants they can't sleep at night, so they go back to more melatonin. And they're just walking around sedated all day. Or in fact, taking direct sedation stuff, Ambien or
Yeah.
even like straight sedatives, right? This is an absolute destroyer of sleep. This is all symptom based stuff, right? And it's like this is great, but you're going to run
Yeah.
your ass in the ground.
Yep.
And this is always what happens, and then they just break, right? Something massive breaks. So getting in there and being able to correct these things, and supplementation can be used specifically um, if you know what you're doing. But it's just a huge sleep drugs and sleep medications are a giant problem with people because it can wreck. Like you want to crash your testosterone, dude. Dude, take a bunch of Ambien and melatonin. I've just come to me 6 weeks later. I guarantee your testosterone will be on the floor.
Wow.
It just always happens. So yeah, man, sleep is one of the cornerstones of like it affects everything. You can't name a single physiological function from happiness to mood to decision making to executive function to muscle growth, strength development, cardiovascular health. I mean, you can't name one thing that sleep isn't a massive lever on. And so, getting a little bit better at your sleep is getting a whole lot better at your life.
That's amazing. So that's the one game changer. If you said just one thing, no blood work, no nothing, just get better sleep. And it's pretty obvious, right? But at the same time, like I'm a night owl, man. I get energy once everybody's kind of in bed and it's calm and you finally get some of that, what I call Brett time. And it's my wife and I just hanging out doing whatever. And it's like, I get more energy. And then I have to convince myself to go to bed. But anyway,
It's
that's
actually
a whole
pretty.
nother
It's actually
podcast.
super normal. Get an energy burst about 90 minutes prior to sleep. That's an incredibly normal thing. And if you know what to do with that, you can actually use that easily to get into bed like the exact time you want to get it. And getting into bed at like a night owl is not a problem as long as your sleep is correct. We deal with shift workers. We deal with athletes that have jet lag. I mean, we got people that just had to go to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and the Bahamas, and all over the place. So our athletes are night owls by definition, right? Baseball
Yeah.
players are playing
Yeah.
7:30 p.m., 7:10 games, right? Like they're never okay, great. So just figuring out how to dial in circadian biology with your nutrition, with your hydration, with your supplementation, when you train and breath work and everything else, you can still get pretty much perfect night of sleep if you just if you put a system behind it. So I don't really care if you're morning people or not. It doesn't matter. We can fix that.
I love the confidence in this, man. If you could just hang on tight here after I say goodbye to the show, because I'm gonna see what it takes to get me signed up for this thing. So, but man, hey, it's
Sounds
been
good.
awesome. Where do our listeners find more of Andy Galpin?
Sure. Instagram and Twitter are the best places for me, and then
Okay.
my YouTube page is full of all kinds of educational content on, if you want to know like how to lift for hypertrophy or what to eat or fat loss or sort of all that stuff. That's all up on YouTube for free.
Beautiful.
If you want to work with our sleep company, that's called Absolute Rest. So you can go to absoluterest.com. And if you put in a special little note that you came from this thing, that waiting list is 4 digits long, if not more, at this point. But we can help move you up that list. And then the other executive program is, like I said, Rapid Health. I think it's Rapid Health Report.
Okay.
.com, and you can sort of see more about that, or just ping me and I'll get you in contact with our team over there and they'll get you going.
Beautiful. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for being on the Circuit of Success. Enjoyed the time.
You got it.